Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Chad Brecklin. I'd like to thank you all for coming to this press conference today so that we can discuss the ongoing issues associated with stolen automobiles in Dane County. We're hosting this press conference not only as representatives of the Fitchburg Police Department, but also as representatives of the Dane County Chiefs of Police Association. As you are probably aware, this is an issue that is crossing many jurisdictional lines and affecting many communities here in Dane County. Our format for the press conference today is as follows. In a couple of moments, you'll hear from Deputy Police Chief Don Bates regarding the efforts we have taken in the spirit of collaboration and engaged in over the last several months to address the issue. After Deputy Chief Bates speaks, there will be an opportunity to ask any questions that you may have. And additionally, we have some information we would like to share with you electronically. So if you haven't done so already, please share your email address with Sergeant Hartwick, who is standing by the door there before you leave, so that we can get that information to you. The objectives of the efforts you're about to hear about are first and foremost to proactively emphasize our interest in overall public safety. I can't stress it enough, but public safety is clearly our #1 priority through all of these efforts. Additional objectives that we have in mind are to offer the community preventive measures to reduce these crimes of opportunity and to also attempt to provide preventative resources to those that are committing the crimes. With all that in mind, I'll turn the podium over to Deputy Chief Bates.
Good afternoon. I'm Don Bates. I'm Deputy Chief of the Fitchburg Police Department. We realized in late fall that there was an uptick in stolen vehicles throughout the Dane County area. And between the City of Madison and the Fitchburg Police Department, we've had over 500 stolen vehicles this year. And a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them have been crimes of opportunity, whereas people have left their garage doors open, their cars unlocked, valuables in the cars, folks being able to see inside cars, and also the car keys being in the vehicles, and they're just driving away with the vehicles. Unfortunately, there's going to be some serious injuries from these young kids who are taking these vehicles. The average age of the individuals that we have taken or referred to the district attorney's office has been 14.8 years old. And we've seen younger kids than 14, and we've seen some older kids, but the incidences, as we have noticed in the last 24 hours, the City of Madison had a stolen vehicle where an individual was hurt, not seriously, thankfully. And then also the Madison Police Department had one on the north side last night where the vehicle also crashed. We're not here to blame the victims. We're here to educate the public and ask that you, the public, take an ounce of prevention or preventative measures and help us lock your vehicles, keep your doors shut, and if you hear something, make sure you call the jurisdiction you live in. This is just not a this is just not a City of Fitchburg matter or a City of Madison matter. This is a Dane County wide. We've through the Dane County Chiefs of Police Association, they've formed a task force, and I happen to be on the task force as well as several other individuals, and we're to report back. Since we've had the task force, we've had 10 meetings with individuals from the community, all the way from the juvenile justice system, Judge Shelley Gaylord, and Andre Johnson from Human Services, I've been to the Mount Zion Church, where we met with several individuals. I would like to also ask you that not only do you take care of your neighbors or take care of yourself, but also take care of your neighbors during this increase in stolen vehicles. There's two incidences that I want to bring you to that we've had in Fitchburg. We had the incident in December where a vehicle was stolen and a 7-month-old, I believe it was a 7-month-old baby, was in the back of the vehicle. And then a couple of weeks later, we had an individual, I think it was a 15 and a 14-year-old in a vehicle, and anyway, they took off from one of our officers. We were not pursuing the vehicle. They took off from the officer whenever he began getting out of his car, took off at a high rate of speed, and they had the two juvenile females in the vehicle had 3 2-month-old babies in the back seat that were not restrained. Unfortunately, the vehicle crashed. Fortunately, nobody was hurt during that incident. So we ask that you help your neighbors, and you help us with these. There's a couple of facts that I want to get out there to you. You may have already seen them. I think some of this may have been posted on Facebook, but I think it does do good that we go over it again. Here in Fitchburg, we had 24 stolen vehicles last year. At the end of 2017, we had 67, with 37 of them coming from September 1st on into December. As far as recovered vehicles, in 2016, we had 12 recovered stolen vehicles, and in 2017, we had 43 stolen vehicles recovered. And I'll give you the demographics. We referred 23 cases to the Dane County District Attorney's Office for their review and referral to the JRC. 14 of the individuals were males. There was 5 females. The average age, like I had mentioned earlier, was 14.8 years of age. Unfortunately, 18 of them are young African-American children, and there was one white male that was also referred through the juvenile authorities, or to the juvenile authorities. So if we could just take some preventative measures, and again, we're not here blaming the victims for getting the cars stolen, but if you just remember, take a couple extra minutes, don't be warming your car up, although it's going to get cold again, I think, but don't warm your car up. When you run into PDQ, or not PDQs anymore, but Quick Trips, turn your car off, go in and do your business. And same as at home, don't leave your keys in your cars. Yes. Did you have a question? Yeah, you can ask a question.
Okay, I have a question. So the task force that you guys formed, you said you've met 10 times.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about that task force? What are you guys doing that is different that you don't normally do when you work together with your jurisdictions?
Well, what we've done is, with our task force, we had 12 departments represented with 24 police officers. And the community, and that's why I mentioned earlier that it's not just a Fitchburg or a Dane County or a City of Madison issue. Wanakee just had stolen vehicle taken, and that was found down in the city of Milwaukee. So what we're doing is we're getting the law enforcement agencies behind the task force, but more importantly, and the most important thing that we can do is community outreach. We cannot do it alone. That's why we have been attending those meetings. Like I had mentioned with the judge, we have another juvenile justice or juvenile judge meeting on February 20th at noon at the Public Safety Building.
Is there any indication that there's been some reports that this is related to some sort of gang initiation or anything like that, or is that just speculation at this point?
I would say that it's merely speculation at this point. We don't have any information to that would indicate that that's what this is.
Yeah, something about stealing a car and crashing it and running away.
I haven't heard that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does this, when you think about it, these kids are so young
Yes.
in committing these crimes. As a member of your community, as an officer, how does this make you feel to see kids doing this?
Well, number one, I feel unsafe. And number two, I feel sad for the kids who are doing this, because a lot of the kids that are doing this are underprivileged kids who may not have a lot of parent direction or a significant adult in their life. They may not go to school. As far as feeling unsafe, I would feel unsafe because they're not experienced drivers, and what is happening is whenever we turn on our lights of our squad cars, they bolt off. And we have a high tolerance as far as pursuing vehicles, and we're not going to be pursuing those 13-year-olds and 14-year-olds who are inexperienced drivers, especially on the roads of Wisconsin where they're icy and slippery, and not only get them killed perhaps, but kill some innocent folks.
Why do you think this is becoming more of an issue now? Why are such young people finding out, oh, hey, I can do this, when we've always been warming up their cars in the winter?
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting. I don't know why, other than it's could be opportunity that is out there. I don't have a specific theory on it.
To go on this gentleman's question with the gang relation and why the uptick, I mean, I think, there's been a number of theories that have been presented, and through interviews, we've heard a variety of reasons why this behavior may be happening, but none of them we've been able to really dig down deep enough to get to the real true basis behind it. Clearly, it is a crime of opportunity, unfortunately, and for whatever reason, a small group of individuals are trying to capitalize on that opportunity, and they're making a lot of unsafe situations for the public. They're putting themselves in an unsafe situation by operating in a motor vehicle without experience. So if we had the true, we're able to definitively say why this was happening, it would certainly give us a lot better opportunity to prevent it right from the get-go.
Is that something this task force is looking into further?
So one of the reasons we have the task force is that information sharing piece with other law enforcement agencies in particular. You can share things electronically and, through phone conversation, but really that face-to-face meeting is where a lot of information is going to be able to be exchanged. So that's clearly one of the benefits. And then these community meetings that we've been participating in, we're also learning more from the community members, what they're finding as they have interactions with these kids that may be responsible for that. So we can kind of collect all of that information, and then hopefully as we look at it, we can maybe identify 1, 2, maybe 3 primary reasons why this sort of behavior is happening, and then devote resources to trying to prevent those sorts of situations from presenting themselves.
Our focus is not to arrest everyone and put them in jail or JRC forever. they need to be held accountable, but they also, by locking them up, it may not be a good idea for us, because what's gonna happen next? So that's why we're trying to get out in front of this, working collaboratively with the African-American community, and attending meetings and talking to them. I've just been to a couple meetings the last couple of days, and they really and sincerely want this to stop. They want to be active participants in this problem that we're having, and we're talking to them.
Have you guys had any reports of vehicles being stolen from retail locations like Oklahoma, where Target parking lot has somebody runs in just to return an item?
I don't know if that happened or not.
Well, we've all seen it where people park like in the fire lane, let the vehicle running just to run in, do a quick business and come out. Is there any responsibility on the retailer's part to prevent any of that, or is it just the individual who's parking that vehicle unattended?
Well,
It would be difficult to have culpability on the part of the retailer there. They would basically need to have somebody, kind of monitoring that fire lane. And really, it does come back to a couple of factors, right? It's the person that's leaving their car running, and then it's the person that feels like because a car is running, that they have an ability to take that car. So if we can, one, prevent people from providing the car to take, and two, also target our efforts and the efforts of community leaders towards the individuals who are taking those cars, I think that's really where the culpability and our resources are better dedicated versus, expecting that a retailer is going to try to police their fire lane, so to speak.
May not be technically gang activity, but how much of this is one kid says, hey, Johnny grabbed a car that was running, and it's kind of maybe this is a thing to do, and you get any sense when you talk to some of these kids, kind of some of their motivational strategies?
Again, it's kind of across the board why they're taking these cars, and we really can't narrow in on one or two reasons why that's happening. So I wish we could sit up here and definitively say that this is why they're taking them. Sometimes they're taking them just because they want to get from point A to point B. Sometimes it's to take them to drive around for as long as they can until the police find their car or they run out of gas. Sometimes they take a car so that they can loan it to other people to drive. I mean, we've had a whole host of reasons that have come up, but none is coming to the forefront, so to speak. Right.
Consistent thread that
Mm-hmm.
goes through this.
they're even going to as far as renting out the vehicles after they're stolen. So, like the chief said, there's not one common thread that
They don't like certain brands or.
right.
Right. How high of an increase in percentage that is kind of triggering this? I'm sure you've got ebbs and flows over time on car thefts, but are we looking at, like, say, from a year ago, twice as many, or have you had any thoughts on that?
We had 24 stolen automobile reports in 2016, and we had 67 in 2017.
So more than,
Yes.
it's double.
180%.
It's nearly tripled.
Wow.
So, and as Deputy Chief Bates mentioned, 37 of that 67 from 2017 happened since basically Labor Day weekend.
And do these kids know each other? Are they coming from the same school, or are they just?
I think it's probably safe to say that there is at least an acquaintance, if not more of a familiarity and some sort of network to some extent. What we're doing is working with the other law enforcement agencies to really put a good cross-section of who they have had as suspects or people that they have actually referred or arrested for this, and comparing those across jurisdictional lines. And we're starting to see a smaller number of names that are showing up repeatedly, which are the folks that we're going to start, and we've actually already started spending some resources on, both from the community side of things and also from the police side of things.
We understand that there's probably around 12 to 15 kids involved in this. So I guess that would, narrow it down, and perhaps they are acquainted.
I'm surprised in this latest incident, 13-year-old forcibly driving over them. I mean, that seems like we're really out of the box and something like that.
Well, that's why we're up here doing this, sharing this information with you. That's why we are attending the meetings that we need to attend. That's why the other individuals are attending the meetings. I was at Mount Zion Baptist Church the other night with 48 black men in the room talking about what can we do with Pastor Marcus Allen leading the group, and the men were saying, what can we do to help our youth? This is out of hand, but we need all the support, and we need all the help that we can do in order to keep these kids out of trouble.
When you make contact with some of the names that you have, what does that contact look like? Is it an immediate arrest? Is it referral to different systems?
It really depends upon individual circumstances. There's no real one-size-fits-all approach that we're utilizing. And we're actually still in the process of working with some of our community outreach organizations and community stakeholders to further develop strategies that may offer us additional abilities to make some inroads there in prevention.
Okay, so it's not just immediately, like you said, it's not just we're going to arrest every kid that's done this.
We're not going to arrest ourselves out of this situation, and that's not what we're here to do. We've also reached out to the school system, and excuse me, to the school system, and again, I think our most important meeting that we're going to have is whenever we meet with the juvenile judges on February 20th at noon.
I do want to clarify just one thing before we wrap up. In the one incident that we had mentioned, it was actually 2-year-old children, not 2-month-old children that had been involved in it. And I do want to, just as in a wrap-up, say thank you to Deputy Chief Bates, and thanks to all of our staff that have been diligently investigating these crimes. And they're spending a lot of time to proactively work to reduce the number of incidents that we've had. And I also want to thank the police agencies, community outreach organizations, and the stakeholders that have really stepped up to the plate through this entire process to kind of come up with a more holistic approach to trying to solve this problem versus making it strictly a police problem to resolve. So thank you for all of you for coming this afternoon. And if you haven't left your email address with Sergeant Hartwick in the back, please do so that we can send you some information.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.